Hello, my wonderful people. Welcome to my platform. Anywhere you are watching this video from, if you like what you are seeing, please subscribe. And also, I want to appreciate YouTube for this wonderful platform they created for us to use to disseminate information. And I also want to put a disclaimer to my platform, to all the content in this platform, that we do not promote hate speech, violence, or misinformation. We do not instigate any war or any violence. We are here to educate the members of the public. We react to all forms of videos. I always stay there to watch the video together with my audience so that they will be informed. So if you like it, subscribe, share, and always leave your comments constructively in the comment section. Let us watch together now.
Let's say you have a business or you have a job, and from your own salary you pay for this, okay? So before now with 511 naira at NNPC at your 50 liters, so you will begin to spend 25,500 naira every week. Now in a month, that is 5 days a week or another days, yeah? In a month, you begin to spend 102,000 naira. That is what the announcement means. When you want to understand what is subsidy remover, what does that mean? Now, this is if you go by NNPCO. Now, let's say your own car is of 70-liter tank, right? At 511 naira. So a week, your own money now will be 35,770 naira every week to fuel your tank to wherever you want to go to. Now, in a month, you begin to spend 143,000 naira every month for you who have cars. Now, if you are a cabby, that's, as you know, you are like a driving Uber, your own car. With this change, that means your fare will have to reflect what you are paying for fuel. You know that, which means your passengers will have to pay more now. So again, if you are the type that takes public transportation, for example, in a week, hang on, let's say in a day, you spend 500 naira to walk and back, 500 naira, right? Now, with this new price and the changes in the transportation fare, that 500 naira can go up to 1,000 naira now. That journey of 500 naira can go up to 1,000 naira or more. Now, if that is what you begin to spend every day from your salary, 5 days a week, that means you'll be spending 5,000 naira on transportation now. I don't know what you used to spend though, but you begin to spend from 5,000 naira on transportation to work every week. Now, for a whole month, 20 days, you will need 20,000 naira from your salary. You don't have car, you have to use the public transportation. And same things go for those of you who spend more. Think of what with them, like, you know, double two or triple two. That is what the subsidy simply means, okay? Now, your employers will need to do something on your package. And this is just on transportation. No other things like you want to buy this or buy that. The prices are going to be different now, from now on, if they are not already. Now, let's say you are not so lucky to buy your own from NNPC depot anywhere in Nigeria all the time, and you used to like have to buy in sort of other oil marketers or filling stations, and you are buying yours at 800 naira, like those who bought in Lagos today, 800 naira per liter. So let's use that calculation as well. You buy at 800 naira per liter. You have a car with 50-liter tank. So which means to fill that tank every week, 50 liter, drive it for 7 days, no matter how much you manage, Abby, that means you'll be spending 40,000 naira every week to fill that tank. Now, I don't know how much you spend currently. Oh. You are not traveling. This is just for work or business. Oh. Now, you'll be filling that with 40,000 naira every week. Now, what do you call it? Every month in 4 weeks, that simply puts, you'll be spending 160,000 naira now. So factor that into what you are earning, okay? And tell which area of your business or your work or your salary will take the hit. That's what subsidy mean, okay? Now, let's say your own car is that of 70-liter tank, right? So you will, at 800 naira per liter, you will need 56,000 naira to fuel that car every week. And for a whole month, you'll be spending 224,000 naira to fuel that car. Now, if you use your car for business, you know what this simply means for you as well, right? That business will have to adjust to this new reality, and your customers and all of them, right, would have to react to. Now, let's say, apart from having a car and all of that, okay, those of you who have cars, where you are placed in all of this now, electricity problem in Nigeria hasn't kind of improved. You know that, I mean, sort of got better, right? Now, after transportation, domestic use, I better pass my neighbor. The amount of petrol and diesel that you consume, a lot of people are now reverting to converter and all of that stuff. But let's assume that, and let's talk to those of you who are using generator. I better pass my neighbor generator. After taking out whatever this is going to cost from your earnings every month, okay, then you now have to consider what you spend domestically on petrol too, right? Let's say your own generator is just 5-liter generator, okay, 5-liter generator, which means you have to carry a 5-liter jerry can to go and buy it, Abi. So that 5-liter at 800 naira per liter means you will now be spending every day. I mean, sorry, not every day. You know what I did is this economic kind of calculation. Okay, I said, let's say there is electricity, and most times there is not, or maybe every night you use your own generator every night because you don't used to get electricity every night. Okay, so which means you have to buy half of, let's say, 30 days. There's possibility that you are going to turn on your generator 15 days in 30 days. So the possibility in between depends on how rich you think you are. But let's assume that you are the type that always kind of have to use your generator 5-liter every evening for that alone, right? Then you will be spending 4,000 naira. Now, if you have to spend on your generator domestic use in 15 days in a month, right, that will automatically take you to 60,000 naira. Now, you have two options. Cut down how many hours you put on your generator, or find a way to factor in this increase in your domestic use as well. Now, if you are the type that is like your own don't improve small, your appliances are bigger than I better pass my neighbor. Your generator takes about 10 liters of petrol at 800 naira in a month. If you spend 800 naira on your 10 liters every, let's say, 15 days in a month, that would be 8,000 naira, okay, times 10 liters. Then 8,000 naira times 15 days. That means you will be prepared to be spending at least 120,000 naira in powering your generator. Now, on and on and on like that, you can do the math too. Now, in all of this, there are no conversation around, oh, we are going to increase your salary, or we are going to pump in money into the economy to help businesses that these are going to affect, so that they will be able to still manage and, help their own workers and staffs in coping with this new reality. So everybody is just going to find a way around it, because there is no clear conversation. So we have seen them, they are like shutting down filling stations. Why are you selling above the normal price? What is the normal price? Take a look at this one.
This thing is very wrong, sir. In a state where we have a government sitting open, and funny enough, this thing is a pronouncement from the president yesterday that has not even been implemented. How can you be so wicked? As at yesterday, this guy was selling fuel at 200 drums. 230. You change it to 600 naira. Today. Overnight.
Do you get that? The usual knee-jerk approach. Make it look like they could control the whole price, when indeed they are the author of the whole confusion. So, without wasting much of our time, right? I have a lot of stuff here I would love to share with you as well. But I'm going to kind of do it with David, where, paired on this conversation tonight. So if you are joining us from wherever you are watching from, to me and to those who are in the know, they believe that this is just the beginning. All right. So I'll get David on now. And then, David.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
How are you, Baba?
I'm good.
Beautiful. See, the conversation at first, right? I would probably want you to say hello to our viewers, okay? Because the conversation tonight is going to be bordering on the reality of today, where those who probably never envisaged that Tifnubu's first action is going to be like all-encompassing. Nobody is spared, right? And some said this is just the beginning. So please say hello to my people who are also here, and even your friends too.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the welcome to the new dispensation. I think there's a saying that says the king is dead, long live the king. So meet the new boss, same as the old boss. So we're in the era of Buhari Pro Max. So good luck to everyone.
So simply put, the last time we had this conversation, it was then presidential candidate, if I could recollect, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, we did one after that. That was when he became a president-elect. And this time around, we are now dealing with the man with absolute power, the commander-in-chief, right? What does this actually mean in reality now, okay, in practice, not in theory and grammar? David.
So I think we've already started seeing what the reality means. Starting from his very first meaningful action as president, one of the very first things he did was he came out and made a knee-jerk policy declaration. You are old enough to have lived through the military era, so I'm sure when I say this phrase, you're going to remember what it means. Government by decree. So policy by announcement. So back in the days, in the 80s and 90s, when you just wake up one morning and you just hear an announcement on the radio that General Ibrahim Babangida has banned the color blue. General Sani Abacha has banned people from coughing at 7 a.m. Something. It's like one random policy pulled out of the air and it's just thrown at you and it becomes the law because your guy at the top said it. We're starting to see a reprisal of that. I mean, we saw that throughout the Buhari era, and from the very first day of Tinubu's era, we've seen the same thing because it wasn't a secret that, as you mentioned, the fuel subsidies had to go. That's just regardless of what anybody's feelings are on the matter, the fact is that Nigeria simply doesn't, even if Nigeria wants to keep on paying those subsidies, there's just no money. There is no way to keep on paying them. So the subsidies simply had to go. It's not even as if anybody removed the subsidies. It's just that the subsidies had to go. There's nothing you can do, right? So that wasn't a secret. But the issue was when you are in that situation, the people don't quite understand the complexities involved in the pricing of fuel. All the people know is that low price of fuel is good, high price is bad. And to an extent, you can understand them because, as you also mentioned, the price of fuel has a very outsized effect on people's day-to-day lives. Whether you have a car or you don't have a car, it affects you. You power your generator, you use public transport, you eat. All those things require fuel. So all those costs are passed across to you. So high pump prices do affect people very disproportionately. And there's also been an argument, a very convincing argument that I've heard from people that as a Nigerian citizen, what benefit do you actually get from the Nigerian state? And the only meaningful thing you can think of is relatively cheap fuel. So that was pretty much the only thing people enjoyed as Nigerian citizens. So when you know you're dealing with that kind of situation, but the subsidies have to go anyway, regardless of all of this, there's a delicate way of breaking the news. First of all, you didn't even need to break the news because the outgoing Buhari administration had already stated that they made no budgetary provision for the subsidy after June 2023. So, in my opinion, you had the perfect opportunity to sort of palm it off onto your predecessor and say that this is what he did, and then make it look like you didn't even want to do it, but that's just what you meant, and it wasn't your fault. There was a way, it would have been mischievous, but there was a way to pass it off. And Nigeria being Nigeria, Nigerians will eat it up because, with all due respect, they're not the smartest people in the world, right? But instead of even doing that, he decided that the best thing to do is to be belligerent, is to come out in front of a microphone, in front of the whole world, and say subsidy is gone. You know, I don't know why he thought that was a good idea, but by doing that, he sparked a completely avoidable market panic. So the video you played just before this, where they say somebody was selling at 230 the previous evening, and by the next morning it had hiked, that jumped to 600. Why did that happen? That happened specifically because Tinubu went and made that pronouncement, that very ill-judged, ill-advised pronouncement. And from what I understand, apparently it wasn't even part of his prepared speech. So he didn't even need to say that. He just, as we say in Yoruba, Ojabolenu, he just fell out of his mouth in his characteristic, in his characteristic manner, where he doesn't understand tact, doesn't understand diplomacy, doesn't understand how to filter himself. He just, anything that comes to his mind, he says it because he believes that he's God. And that's what he did now. And he has started up this completely avoidable panic, completely avoidable hoarding and associated price spikes, completely avoidable. It didn't need to be like this. There was a way this whole issue could have been managed that even with the higher prices, there wouldn't even have needed to be any kind of scarcity. There wouldn't have been any hoarding and long queues. There was a way to handle it. Obviously, that's not his business. I mean, when was the last time he or his family members ever queued up for fuel? Have they ever queued up for fuel in Nigeria before? Probably when he was a child or something. I don't know. So he just came out and, in classic Babangida and Abacha fashion, just spat something out of his mouth.
Now, you see, David, one of the recent arguments is that during the campaign, almost all the candidates said they were going to let go the subsidy because it's an unnecessary drain, which has now run Nigeria so aground that Nigeria has started borrowing money to pay these guys. Yeah. So, including Peter Obi, you as someone who is, a supporter of Peter Obi, one of these were thrown at so many of you, although it's been sort of kind of watered down in a way, like you just mentioned. The argument was, if it was Obi, would he have done it differently? Like, in your own opinion, if I have a clip, by the way, can you hear that, David?
Yes, I can hear
you. What could Obi, for example, have done differently? Understanding and all of this, yeah. Like, in your view.
The good thing about supporting Peter Obi is that I don't even have to put words in his mouth, because he actually came out and said by himself what he was going to do. He made a public statement about it, which is something Tinubu never did. So he stated that his initial plan will be to do a staged removal. So initially, do a 50% removal, and then introduce palliative measures to sort of take the sting out of these, because it is a shock to most people. It does create pain for people. Their transport costs go up, their food costs go up. I'm sure you're aware, there was a study that was done in, I think, 2021 that showed that the average Nigerian family spends about 60% of its income. The average Nigerian household spends about 60% of its monthly income on food alone. So anything that causes food inflation is a very big problem, and everything is competing with food in a typical Nigerian household budget. So whenever the fuel price goes up, it creates a big food inflation problem, which hurts a lot of people. It leads to actual problems with feeding, right? So he stated that the removal will be gradual, it will be staged. So first of all, take off 50% of the subsidy, then introduce palliative measures, and then later on take off the other 50%, which I think is a smart way of handling it, because those subsidies will have to go anyway.
Yeah, sorry, David. Okay, let's use his words according to him himself, Peter Obi. Then you can elaborate further, right? The word of you guys in contention here. Just a moment.
No matter how long you protest, though, we are going to remove subsidy. That is the truth. That is the truth. Unless you don't, and I'm going to win this election.
It's not what it is. Half of the subsidy that's been, what is being mentioned is not subsidy. First is that we consume the quantity that is not supposed to be consumed here. We are the same population with Pakistan. They consume below 50% of what we consume. So first, the first half, I will remove it and give those people who are drinking it water, because that's what they're supposed to drink, so we can save the money. Two, we will deal with the other remaining issue. We need the money today with our debts. We need the money to be able to invest in a critical social development issues. Look at this year's budget. This year's budget, education, which is the highest since this government came, is about 2 trillion. Health, which is the highest since this government came, is about 1.5 trillion. Then infrastructure, which is road and everything, is about 1 trillion. So these three critical development areas is receiving 4.5 trillion. Subsidy is 3.6 trillion.
Six.
No, half year.
Oh, like, okay.
Half year is 3.6. So every full year is about 7 trillion. Which country will invest more in subsidy than education and health and even roads? It doesn't make sense. This is annual.
David.
The difference is clear. The difference, you can clearly see the difference between someone who even knows what he's talking about and another person that is just not really there. Like, there isn't really much to be said.
That's like it said itself. Now, if this is what we are going to be dealing with, right? A lot of people are praying that it shouldn't last, so that maybe they can actually feel free. Or else, if it's going to be a long journey, let's start reviewing some sectors that once they begin to take it, you know, Nigerians probably will begin to miss Buhari. Let me ask you this first. Do you think it is possible for Nigerians to miss Buhari with this Tinubu?
I don't just think it's possible. I think it has already started happening. And I'll explain what I mean. So I woke up this morning. My friend in the US actually woke me up. He sent me a message on WhatsApp, and I opened it, and it was a screenshot. And it was a screenshot of Folashade Tinubu's Twitter page. And he was asking me a question because he's not a Yoruba person. I think he's Igbo. So he was asking me that what does this word Iyaloja mean? And then I saw the screenshot, and on the screenshot you could see that she had changed her bio on Twitter, and it now read Iyaloja General of Nigeria. And then after that, first daughter of Nigeria. And in that moment, I'm not going to lie to you, it's not something I consciously said, but in that moment, the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, even Zara Buhari and Hadiza Buhari never did this. So I think it has already started happening. We've already started making, once you start making those comparisons that even Buhari, even once you start making those comparisons, you've already started missing Buhari. So I think it has already started happening.
So the drama's like, can you hear me, David? Okay, the drama's
Yes.
like DSS versus EFCC yesterday morning. So things like that are always going to be like, come on. Is that also like in the pipeline?
I mean, so we saw things like that during the Buhari era. So it looks like it's more of the same, which is why I said the king is dead, long live the king. It's just that instead of it's merely just being more of the same, we're not having expansions in other areas that even Buhari wasn't even able to fully explore. So these guys are, I have a theory that part of the reason why he was so eager and so instrumental in pushing Buhari to the presidency in 2015 was that I believe that he felt that Buhari was going to perform so disastrously that expectations would be lowered far enough for him to have a realistic shot at actually being president. And I think that's what has happened. So, I mean, in a way, well played.
It did is a well play. Now, you know, from the start, I did ask you that this is the reality. is the commander-in-chief now, right?
Yeah.
If he gaffes, it can cost lives.
Yep.
Talk less of them having to make up policies that are laced with self or their own selfish interest without considering the ripple effects, like generally.
Yeah.
So I asked earlier, I said, like, if Buhari that a lot of people felt like he's the worst, and Buhari's effect is not even limited to Nigeria. It's so spread that even Nigerians outside Nigeria were feeling the grunt and the brunt. You get what I mean? So now here we are. This is Tinubu. Now, what does this really mean to us when it comes to the, being Nigerian abroad now? Before we were talking about what it was going to be like when it becomes this. Now he is.
He is.
So what does this mean in practice, like practically, not theory?
Well, I guess in a way it's one of these questions. It's one of those questions. It's one of those questions that we're going to find out the answer together as time goes on. One thing that seems very clear and obvious to me is that over the 8 years of Buhari, I think possibly the most significant thing that happened to Nigeria in an international sense, in terms of our experience as Nigerians outside of Nigeria, is that Nigeria has now become the world's largest insignificant country. And what I mean by that is that for a country this big with this many people, it has now, like, the way we're not even treated with hostility anymore. We're treated with complete disregard. It's like we're like citizens of Sao Tome and Principe, right? For a country with supposedly, allegedly, a population approaching 200 million people, that is never supposed to happen. But we've become so unimportant in the global space, so utterly and incredibly unimportant, not just in a diplomatic sense, even economically, even small things like you want to use, so you're opening a bank account abroad. Let's say you're not a foreign passport holder, you're a Nigerian passport holder, but you have a visa. So in the country you are trying to open a bank account or something like that. The way you get treated, it's almost like it's no longer a case of, oh, you're a Nigerian scammer or you're a Nigerian criminal. No, it's more like a case of, oh, Nigeria, where is that? We've become so utterly irrelevant to the world around now. Even within Africa, we've started getting treated that way. When Jonathan handed over the country to Buhari, you could travel as a Nigerian passport holder to Kenya visa-free. You cannot do that anymore. You now need to apply for a visa. You don't even get to Kenya and get the visa on arrival. You have to apply from your country, as if you're applying to go to the UK or the US. You apply for a Kenyan visa, you pay money, dollars.
Normally,
they grant you a visa and then you fly to their country. And even at the point of entry, they will still want to know, why are you here? What are you doing here? That's how irrelevant we become. So I don't see a Tinubu presidency doing anything whatsoever to reverse that slide. I don't see him.
That would have been my question, right? Do you see him, but it would have been like a rhetorical question anyway, that do you see him reversing all of that? See, I want to add something as well. I've seen hardworking Nigerians who have come online to complain of being removed from setting up accounts that could help them kind of retrieve all their earnings from different platforms abroad. Simply because they are from Nigeria, or they couldn't make payments outside Nigeria simply because they are from Nigeria. So many people have actually been like refused some quite good gigs, that some of these young people will call it gigs in their own area of expertise, simply because they are from Nigeria. So 8 years of Buhari destroyed a lot of opportunities. So when I now look at that and I'm like, could they have it worse? Could Nigerians still have it worse? Like, and what does that mean, having it worse, David?
So, first of all, regarding what you just mentioned about Nigerians being locked out of the global financial system, that's a very real thing. And it's not just people's experiences. There's a reason for this, which a lot of people aren't aware of. I'm actually I'm going to read an excerpt now. So, if you heard of something called the Global Financial Action Task Force, FATF,
Right.
it's a U.S. government institution that basically regulates people's access to transactions involving US dollars. You may be aware that I think something like 85% of all global trade is carried out using US dollars.
I know that.
95% of all global transactions are settled using US dollars. So, and any transaction, legally speaking, any transaction anywhere in the world which is carried out using US dollars is subject to the US Treasury Department. So there's something called the FATF, and Nigeria, as of February 2023, is now on something called the gray list of the FATF. So basically, the FATF looks at things like money laundering, terror financing, that sort of thing, funding of narcotics networks. You know, that's what the FATF focuses on, and Nigeria has now been placed on the gray list alongside. Let me read the countries. Yeah. So Albania, Barbados, Burkina Faso, Cayman Islands, Democratic Republic of Congo, Gibraltar, Haiti, Jamaica, Jordan, Mali, Mozambique, obviously Nigeria, Panama, Philippines, Senegal, South Africa, and South Sudan, Syria, Tanzania, Turkey, Uganda, United Arab Emirates, Yemen. So basically, we are now subject to increased monitoring at the FATF. So that is why these things have started happening, and they will keep on happening. The only way to become no longer subject to increased monitoring by the FATF is for.
Thank you so much, my wonderful viewers, for watching this video together with me from the beginning to the end. Like I said before, if you like what you see here, if you like what I do in this platform, as you have finished watching this video, please hit that red button that says subscribe and put on your notification bell to all notification. In that way, you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. Share my videos, leave your comments in the comment section constructively. Until I meet your way again in my next video, I still remain your Linda's TV show. Bye-bye.